Hello, guys, and welcome to the Transparency. Thank you guys for being here. Do me a favor, and at some point in this video, you have an opinion, make yourself known. Thumbs it up, thumbs it down. Again, you have an opinion, voice that opinion. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Members, subscribers, moderators, let's do it.
Folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Whose house is this?
Yeah. Been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? They just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car and the other one.
It's truly for the win.
I am a detective sergeant employed by the Idaho State Police. This affidavit is intended to show only that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested warrant and does not set forth all of my knowledge about this matter. I have set forth only the facts necessary to support a finding of probable cause and any facts that would lead the court to not find probable cause on the charges.
So there was 2 different discs, okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to Truth and Transparency. I'm going to start with a bang, not a bang that you are expecting, because we are going to get into the Daily Mail article, but something else. Everybody wants to know what Adam was told, but I got something else for you that might have something to do with that. Check it out.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history.
All right, guys, take a look here. You are going to be at the center. Watch this. 224 East E Street. You got these E's, you got these D's. This is 224 East E. E as in elephant Street, Moscow, Idaho. Right here, that is E. This street, North Jefferson. Right here, that truck. Bar up over there. That belongs to your private party, private driver, Eric. That's who that belongs to. That's your private driver. Again. Again, that is your that's your private Uber driver. That's your Eric Growler. That's his truck. Now wait for it.
My knowledge of the facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon my own observations or the observations of other sworn officers who've relayed their personal observations to me for purposes of this probable cause affidavit. This investigation involves the following statutes. A. Murder in the second degree, a felony. Idaho Code 18-4003.
An arrest for second-degree murder came a few months later.
There we go. All right. This was your Daily Mail article. Okay. Parents of University of Idaho student Kaylee Gonsalves claim they have evidence that she tried to escape, kill her, but was trapped and brutally murdered. Steve Gonsalves says that his daughter Kaylee was trapped between the wall and her friend's dead body on the night of the murders. Her mother believes that the attacker only planned to kill one student, but his plan went AWOL. Brian Kohlberger has been charged with 4 murders, but has denied the allegations. Again, this was today, September 14th. The parents of Kaylee Gonzalez claimed their daughter was trapped by the body of her best friend as she tried to escape their killer. Steve Gonzalez said that his daughter was stuck in her bedroom because of property layout in Moscow, Idaho on the night she was murdered. Kaylee, 21, was killed alongside her best friend, Maddie, 21, housemate, Xana, Ethan. Both Kaylee and Maddie were sleeping in the same bed the night of the murders, with Kaylee's parents claiming that they have evidence showing she tried to get out of the situation before being killed. Brian Kohlberger, 28, has been charged with the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students, with Steve revealing that Maddie was likely the first to die. He believes Kaylee was stuck between her friend's body and the wall before the assailant attacked her. And he was citing a coroner's report. Speaking to CBS, Peter Van Sant, he said, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation, but she was assaulted and stabbed. Assaulted, in my opinion, is struck, physically, being hit. The bed was up against the wall. The headboard was touching the wall, and the left side of the bed was up against the wall. And they said that we believe that Maddie was on the outside and that Kaylee was on the inside. The way that the bed was set up, Kaylee was trapped. Kaylee's mother, he said that she thinks the killer's plan went awry, so adding that he didn't intend to kill, that he intended to kill 1, killed 4. Their comments come after Kohlberger waived his right to a speedy trial, pushing back the court case until at least next year. He refused to answer when asked for his plea. That means Brian Kohlberger they're talking about. So the judge went ahead and put it in. All other people that spoke out, because this will probably be on the 48 hours, was Xana's sister, Jasmine. She basically says, I don't know why the murders happened. I wish we knew. They were all 4 great people, and they made such an impact on the lives of the people around them. Xana's father said that he believes that his daughter fought back against her killer. It's upsetting to think about it. Gonzalez family believes that alleged killer Brian Kohlberger made several scouting trips to the property on King Road. He had to know when people were coming, people going, says Steve. A police affidavit states that Kohlberger visited the property at least 12 occasions prior to the killings. Is not what any probable cause that I've seen says. Gonzalez family have been undertaking their own investigation and were regularly speaking out before a gag order. The family says the probe revealed that Kohlberger followed both Kaylee and Maddie on Instagram, adding that it appeared to be his real account. And I told you guys here that if that was to come out, that I would be speaking out about that. If this had anything to do with Instagram. Steve said, we're not going to just sit back and cross our fingers and pray we're going to get justice. He says his wife said that she believes Kohlberger is responsible for the slayings, adding he's going to feel all of us just staring at him, the back of him. So, well, welcome to the transparency. Let's see where I want to get started with this. First of all, to hear these details, it's sad. It's horrible. And it's interesting that that the family believes that only one person was the target, and that was basically Maddie. Maddie, the first one to die, according to the family. I believe what they're saying here. I believe that when Steve was saying that you didn't have to go upstairs, if what you wanted was on the second floor, when you came right in, you had no reason to go upstairs. And why'd you go upstairs? Well, because what you wanted was on the top floor. I do believe that the layout of the house is exactly what he's saying in terms of where that bed was, that it was a single bed, that it was pushed up against the wall. That's 100% accurate. It's a small room that Kaylee and Maddie would have been in, being Maddie's room. It was from my investigation, it was a single bed. It was not, possibly a full, but not a big bed. And if she was on the inside, which would be up against the wall, then she couldn't get out of that bed to go, to get out. She had the inside spot against the wall. I know that I've talked about sometimes, once I heard that Kaylee's dad talked about these, bigger wounds, these gouges, that I always felt like Kaylee was standing up. Versus being, just laying down in the bed. That she either walked in on that happening, or that if she was trying to escape in some way, that she would be getting up from being down, in a laying surface. Also, this makes sense for me with the cell phone. I always thought that Kaylee could have been using both phones, or having Maddie make the texts and the calls, because her phone wasn't getting answered by Jack D. But from the videos, Maddie was intoxicated heavily. And so at the age of 21, what we all would do there is, okay, here, I'll take my friend's phone and see if my ex-boyfriend will pick up that, call or that text versus mine. And it also then plays perfectly into why these two cell phones would never do anything after the same point in time of being 2:52 a.m. They never made another outgoing command. I don't know how anybody could possibly say that Dylan heard somebody like Kaylee playing with her dog after seeing probable causes that have been produced from Idaho. I don't even know if Dylan ever saw that probable cause until it came out to all of us. And they're probably doing their damnedest to probably not have it come out, for her to just be like, wait, what? That's not what I said. But I do believe then the two cell phones stopping at the same time. It could go either way. The same person that was using those two phones fell asleep, or right after that 2:52 time frame, that was when the attack began, and therefore you couldn't use your phone anymore. I think it speaks volumes as to, I think, why Steve is saying it. I think that Steve was very, very upset with the prosecution. I think that he wants cameras in the courtroom. And I do think that Steve's pushing back to say, put cameras in the courtroom. If not, I'm going to start speaking out. So it is what it is. Steve has that right, in my opinion. I wouldn't know. Nobody could ever say that Steve's ever doing anything wrong or right. Nobody knows what they would do in that type of situation. So I think he made a great point when he said, "So what am I guilty of being a dad?" I think that that's an amazing comment to say, because I don't think he's in the wrong. Anything that he does, I think that how anybody could judge him is crazy, but I think he feels that his hand is forced. But I will tell you this. Why nobody's on the same page is no mystery. Think about anytime you're not getting along with somebody, you don't see eye to eye to somebody, like, they don't trust anything, in my opinion, that the prosecutors or the police have been doing in terms of the way that they've been conducting themselves. Like, anything that you're going to say to me, why should I believe you? Or you say that you're going to do something and you don't. So now, I don't believe that Ann Taylor would come out and put on the record that there is nothing tying my client to the victims. If there was not something as so obvious as following somebody on Instagram is pretty obvious. I don't see Ann Taylor saying that. Okay, if that in fact was the case, you guys, Maddie, Kaylee, their accounts weren't private. You don't have to follow them to see their stuff. You don't have to follow them on Instagram to see their stuff. So therefore, Brian Kober had no reason to follow them, and for them to like be accepted, by those two girls, that just doesn't make any sense, to be honest. You guys could follow them, in their accounts, or you wouldn't have to right now, and you're gonna be able to see the same thing. Saying that his phone was pinging at the girls' house is a complete, that is not what any affidavit says. What the affidavit says is that it was pinging off of towers that provide service to that house. Very, 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 very different. Steve makes a very good point, which we've been saying here. Which is that that house is a revolving door. This person had to know who was coming and who was going. How is someone like Brian Kober know that? There's no blood in his car. There's no blood, seen leaving. That's visible to the naked eye. It's a thing that there's not, but there's just no big old footprints or a bunch of blood that if he unchanged right outside or something like that. Mr. Gonsalves back in the day said that they asked him if anybody that he knew was acting differently, and this wasn't the time when they were talking about it wasn't people close to the circle. This was just if any of the roommates, the people that lived there, if anybody had been acting differently. I had posed this question to you guys a long time ago, and I said, why did Kaylee feel a personal conflict of if she should go to Moscow or not? Why did Kaylee move out or was beginning to move out? Something had to transpire. And the only people that that Steve and Kristi knew, and they said in their interviews, was Maddie. So therefore, for them to ever say that somebody was acting differently out of the group of people that would be living there, and that something was different, The only people that they knew to say that about would be, they only knew Maddie. They didn't know Bethany. They didn't know Dylan. They didn't know Ethan. So if you're going to have an opinion of somebody that's changed or something that's changed about somebody, the only opinion that they could have would be that of Maddie. You know, with that said, Kaylee had personal conflict. Kaylee didn't, she said, her mom said, she was contemplating on going there that weekend. Why? What was the problem? And I've said this numerous times. I said it wasn't because there was like a concert or something that she was deciding between. She just ended up saying, okay, I'm going to go. Maddie didn't make Kaylee her +1. Her boyfriend wasn't there to go to that, you know, event with the sororities. But Dylan made Kaylee her +1 to be able to go to that event on Friday night. I said it here on the channel back in December and January of 2022 to 2021 that Maddie and Kaylee were extremely close, but when they got to college, they both went to different sororities, so therefore they were on different paths of like the people that they were hanging out with, and they started hanging out in different, like with different people. Maddie spent the whole summer before this incident in Boise. Kaylee started working for Extreme Networks. Kaylee wasn't supposed to be there. I think to like read this and to hear what Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez had to say, I think it's powerful for them to say that they want to have cameras, they want to know everything, because that just tells me that they don't know everything. Because I think that'd be so hard to sit through a trial like this when the stuff that's going to come out. And if you thought that you had your man, you wouldn't give a shit what the public thought. I wouldn't care what I thought or what anybody thought. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks now. Like, I wouldn't care what anybody thought then. So to me, when I was listening to his interview, I think he's baiting the police. I'll say it. I think he is flat out saying that, yeah, I'm going to ride so hard with you. It's like almost like a little, like a, yeah, this guy comes to town. He's not one of us. He came here to hunt hillbillies and all that stuff. I mean, Steve is using their words against themselves. That's what I hear. Because Steve came out before and publicly said, you know, basically didn't, you know, was more or less giving the police a hard time. He's like, if I'm wrong, I'll say that I'm wrong. I have no problem saying that I'm wrong. And I think that Steve he felt so strongly about the stuff that he knew back then, that he felt something was so off that he spoke out like that. That's what I saw back then. And what I saw yesterday, I saw a dad not being gung-ho, not truly being like, this is our guy. That's not what I saw at all. I saw somebody saying, prove it. You guys say that you got my daughter's killer. Prove it. Prove it to me. You think that he's talked to the police at all? Fuck no. You think that he's talked to the prosecutors? Hell no. He was laughing when Brian Denny asked him that question. Steve reminds me of the guy from, what is it? Law-abiding citizen. That's what I see. Oh, let's do this. Since people think that they just want to blow me up. Like that. This time frame of this killing was 3 to 4, and then all of a sudden it's going to be 4 to 4:20, because that had to fit a narrative, and that narrative would be that we're going to blame the person that we're going to blame, and we can't blame them at 3 o'clock in the morning because they're not there yet. So we better back the fuck this timeline up, or push it. I've seen ISP completely ignore what time somebody would make a 911 call. So if ISP was, were the ones, I can't imagine Officer Payne doing that probable cause by himself, a 2-year police officer. As Jennifer Coffendorfer says, the most important thing and the hardest thing that you're ever going to do as a police officer is these reports. Well, your probable cause is for fucking shit. And you have 2 people that were murdered, and they were murdered first. Maddie and then Kaylee upstairs in that bedroom. And you now have 2 cell phones that stopped working at the same time, 2:52. And you're going to have a hell of a time to not have that be indicative of a possible time that they would have been murdered, especially for the nature of what Kaylee was doing and how quickly she was doing it, about being on the phones. I said there was no way that those 2 girls stopped using their phones at the same exact time. Not a chance. No way. The probability of that. This whole DoorDash thing, you could have ordered DoorDash at 2:45. You could have ordered DoorDash at 3:10. Just because DoorDash was delivered at 4 o'clock does not mean that people were alive and able to take that DoorDash. We have no idea where that DoorDash was dropped off. We don't even know if the DoorDash was dropped off. But what we do know is that one person, I believe, was sleeping when the attack started, and that was Maddie. And all these other people were awake, and 2 people in that house couldn't hear anything. You thought Kaylee was playing with her dog? You truly think that Dylan or Bethany said that? Because the next question is going to be well, did Kaylee normally play with her dog at 4 o'clock in the morning? No, then why would you think that? So either these girls were not there, in my opinion, because you don't hear screaming. And you also, how can nobody get to their phone? If Kaylee and Maddie are being attacked upstairs, especially when it was like a situation that there was a fight between Kaylee and the killer, everybody has their phones. Nobody could press 911. Nobody could press 911 on their phone. Nobody would be screaming out to say, to whose ever name, you know what I mean? Nobody could get to a cell phone to call for help. Nobody could get any DNA underneath their fingernails. We all believed it, and we all thought everybody was sleeping, right? When the probable cause says that we didn't use Kaylee, Maddie's, or any of the victims' cell phones to determine the time of the crime, it's fucking a problem. You want to know why it's a problem? Because it doesn't go with that narrative that it happened at the time that they say that it happened. When have you ever heard of somebody's cell phone that's the victim, that their phone is not taken into account for the time of the crime? Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of that? You have 4 victims, and we're not going to use any of their phones. And in fact, in this probable cause, because we're going to go off of what these people said and off of their phones. That's the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. But let me ask you a question. Bethany or Dylan saw one of the second floor roommates was, they thought that they had passed out, and they had to summon people over to the house because they thought that somebody was not, with it. They were passed out, and they called for help. Why wouldn't you go upstairs or call upstairs for your other people that live inside your home to help you? Because you know that they're dead? Who the fuck would summon people over to a house to help an unconscious person? Who would ever believe this? I will give Kristi, when she said that she believed that one person was supposed to only, be killed and the other people weren't. If you case that joint, why wouldn't you go out the top, back out of Kaylee's bedroom and out the slider? Why would you ever come down into down onto the second, the middle level? Why wouldn't you just go out the balcony that's so close to the ground level if you've been casing that house? Why would you ever go back downstairs to be able to meet with whatever, besides going out Kaylee's room? Especially if you case the place and Kaylee didn't live there anymore. So you wouldn't think that Kaylee or her dog would be there. If you want to think that somebody like Brian Kohlberger did this, and there was all this planning and a kill kit. And that's just amazing to me that somebody that has the type of background that he has would think that he's going to drive his own vehicle, get in his own car with all this blood, be seen on all these cameras, his vehicle. Like, you can't sit here and say that he's a smart guy and then just look at that aspect of it and that's what he was, cloud-based, blah, 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 blah. You just can't, I mean, you can't have it both ways. And so what I think the Gonsalveses can sell, they want that, they believe that Brian Kohberger is the guy. I'm calling their bluff. I think that that's them being PR and saying it because the words that they're using the police's own words. And if there's other people that are supposed to be held accountable, who do you think Brian Kohberger did this with? He doesn't know anybody there. You think he's just going to hit up some fucking random and be like, hey, do you want to go stab some people tonight? He doesn't know anybody there. I don't think that Ann Taylor goes into a courtroom and says that there's nothing tying my client to any of these victims, if that is not in the case, like if that's not the facts. So what I will say about this Instagram is that law enforcement gave out Brian Kohberger's name before Brian Kohberger was arrested. And there were multiple people in town when Brian Kohberger's name was given out. When I say multiple people were in town, that was just, a couple days after Christmas. I took a look at the Instagram account that allegedly was like his Instagram account, and I caught a big boo-boo. I caught the timestamps of the Instagram account that was allegedly his Instagram account. And when he was arrested, he wasn't following them. It was 3 hours after he was arrested that he was then allegedly following them. And this was literally sent to me. And I said, the person asked me if I thought that that if he would have still had his cell phone on him. I said, no. I said, and I said, that's interesting though. There's timestamps that show that 3 hours after Brian Kohberger was arrested, that's when whatever account this was following. But before that, nobody was being followed. I believe that Steve Gonsalves was given bad intel when it comes to the Instagram accounts. I think that it would be very easy to screen record the 150 people that he had following him and that he was following, because it was very small, and to mimic that, if you would want to say clone or whatever. But Brian Kohberger had no fucking reason to follow them, but they have public accounts because you can see everything. There's no reason to follow somebody if it's a public account. You follow people if they're private so that you can try to get in and see their stuff when they accept you. And like I said, if anybody spoke out about these Instagram accounts, I would be speaking out, and I will put my fucking cards on the table, and I will show that the people that sent this stuff to me were people that were in Idaho and knew his name prior to his arrest. I will put my cards out there. Because like I said, I don't believe that Ann Taylor is going to come out and say that there's nothing tying my client to any of these victims, if in fact he's following them on Instagram. You think Ann Taylor's going to fucking say that shit? I don't. Not for a second. I've already given it up to Ann Taylor, by the way. You asked the public to help you find a 2011 or 2013 vehicle. Never changed it. I went back and pulled out the motion for the protective order, because when all of this came out to protect the IGG stuff, the first 4 or 5 pages of them talking about how this all happened, news media doesn't want to talk about it. But now, after the stuff that we know about and we hear the experts talk, the big thing that the defense wanted to know is if this was a tip submitted, where is it? Where's the tip? Also, did the DNA come first, or this tree, or did the Elantra, like, what came first? When was the name Brian Kohlberger given as a tip? Have you guys ever seen the O.J. Simpson crime scene photos? You know how fucking bloody they are? It's very, very hard to look at. Well, let me tell you something. O.J. Simpson allegedly got in this Bronco, flew up out of there. That Bronco had no blood in it. That's always been a hang up for me. The bottom of his shoes, there's nothing on the, floorboard of the Bronco. It's always been a hang up. And then I compare that to now we get to Brian Kohlberger case with the IDAHO4, and there is nothing in that vehicle. I have hang up with OJ with that Bronco. He flew up out of there. So then you get to this case and you allege pretty much the same thing, that this person came in and out, flew up out of there. And all the stuff that you're putting in all these search warrants that you're expecting to find and to get. And do you know what the return on that inventory was? Fucking nothing. Do you think that Steve would have talked today and said the things that he said if he believed that they had the right person? Would you jeopardize, anything? I wouldn't want to jeopardize a conviction. It's kind of like when you're sitting at a poker game and you have, I don't know, aces over kings. I don't fault Steve one bit, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I believe that they believe that Brian Koberger is the guy. I wouldn't be being truth and transparency then. But I loved the move. He took all the words that they said that they told him, and he just fucking said them all. That's what he did yesterday. You think those are his words? That he was using some hillbilly? You think that that's just? You think he used those words? That's what they were told. That this is some fucking. He ain't from here. He ain't one of us. He came here to hunt one of us or multiple one of us. Let me ask you another question. I fucking hate 4chan, but how could 4chan literally come out and be nailing it? If you go back and you read what the hell they put out, they're nailing it. How would 4chan know this happened within like 19 minutes? You understand that's exactly what the time that Kaylee wasn't the target. She just, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And what was that 4chan all about? It was all about the school. It was all about the fraternity. It was all about the money. And what was Steve saying in the beginning? I don't care about your stupid fucking rush. If we're going to put up our posters, I know it's not going to be, you're not going to want to see that during rush. Steve felt some type of way. And I think he's right. They made the arrest before everybody had to come back to school. Why couldn't they get any DNA from his apartment to test everything with? Why do they have to go to Pennsylvania? They got a search warrant for his apartment without any DNA. So why didn't they just search his apartment and then there's nothing there with any DNA on it that they could have, compared the sample of the sheath? Then we come over here to Eric Growler. And Steve said something to me that really resonated when he said that. What were the words again? I'll read them verbatim. There's evidence to show that she was awakened and tried to get out of the situation. Where was it? He had to know when people were coming, people going. He had to know when people were coming, people going. Who better to know that than the fucking driver? Just trying to show that video again too. Let me see. Again, he had to know when people were coming, people were going. How in the fuck would Brian Colbert know that? How would Brian Colbert know that? Let's take a look at this old video. Let's take a look.
Light and the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of students last month. Video appears to show 2 of the students walking down the street and talking, how they spent some of their last hours alive. Fox News Digital believes it was recorded on November 13th, just a couple of hours before the 4 were stabbed to death in their off-campus home. The footage shows Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie walking with a man on Main Street in downtown Moscow. 2 women appear to be wearing the same clothes that Goncalves and Mojin were seen wearing earlier that evening near a food truck. The man walking with them is also wearing clothes that look like those. 2 women appear to be wearing the same clothes that Goncalves and Mojin were seen wearing earlier that evening near a food truck.
So, something that I think is interesting is this guy, Growler, Eric Growler, he made a comment that he lived 1,200 feet or yards from Brian Colbert. You guys remember that? Do you guys remember that? That he said it in an interview that when this all came out, Brian Colbert's like, oh wow, I live like 1,200 yards from him. 1,200 feet, he lived over there. Well, see now, like, then I'm super confused because I have been living in Moscow. So did he like rent out a place over there? Like, because where I have him, let's see. So this is There you go. That I believe is the white truck that I would love to see the video. I mean, I would love to see the video of them coming home to see if this was the car that they got out of. But who better to know when somebody got home than the person that dropped them off? Is it the same person that picked them up for them to like go out? Is this the person that they used all the time? I'm curious to, and would love to know the reason that they think that only one person was the intended target, the family. Why don't they believe that, other people were intended to be killed, according to Kristi, that it was just one person was intended to be killed, and then 3 people ended up being killed instead. Well, with the one person that was intended to be killed. Thank you there, Jennifer. If they are putting his name out, he wasn't known. 100% this guy's known. He did interviews. And now I'm just questioning his interview. And I'm allowed to question his interview. He said they lived 1,200 yards away from Brian Colbert. This is a guy that said that nothing was out of the ordinary that night. This is a guy that said that everything was fine. This is a guy that knew when they got home. This is a guy that Steve Gonsalves said that you'd have to know people's comings and goings. Okay. I don't know why I'd be saying that I live 1,200 yards away from Brian Colbert if I lived here. I also would like to tell you that I believe that Showalter was going to give them a ride home, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden, they just went off, right? I would love to know maybe how that transpired. Was it, hey, I'm over here in the area. I thought I just saw you guys walking. Do you guys want to ride? Type of thing. Because Showalter didn't get anything to eat. Showalter could have just walked them down. Okay, they're there. They're around a bunch of people, and then I can leave, right? Because I'm not getting anything to eat, and they're calling their guy to come pick them up, who's ever giving them a ride home, right? That's always been an issue for me. It's always been a problem for me, is that he clearly was staying because he thought he was giving them a ride home. Otherwise, why the fuck was he staying, right? They didn't have a car. He had one, right? So how did that whole thing end up changing, that they ended up getting in a private driver vehicle instead? Yeah, Jack threw his hands up like, wait, what? Like, if he was just supposed to walk them down there, why he would have just left? Why were Kaylee's wounds more severe? In my opinion, Kaylee, because she was, I believe, standing up. She couldn't, like, obviously run out of the bed because, like, she was being impeded. But, like, if you were to get up and, like, try to crawl out forward and get onto the floor, if you were to, like, and then, but I think that I question to know, why would Murphy be in the other bedroom? Maybe did Kaylee hear it? I always thought that maybe Kaylee heard a little something and then she walked in on that, and then that something then happened. But they have reason to believe that Kaylee was like this version of it, and that tells me that it has to do with the crime scene, where the blood would be. Like, where she'd have been first attacked and things like that. I always said that we're going to know our order based on the victims. Like if Xana and Ethan have blood of Kaylee and Maddie, in their wounds or on them, obviously that means that the other two people were attacked before Maddie or before Ethan and Xana. But how in the fuck do you think you do this? And he had no intentions of going into that bedroom where Dylan allegedly slept, right? Well, that's what makes it seem like it was targeted, right? So Kaylee ran into Maddie's room and jumped on the bed with her. No. The family is saying that they were laying in the same bed, and that the killer came in and came around the side of the bed and went to go stab Maddie, not knowing that Kaylee was in there, and then that's what happened. That's how Kaylee got trapped, because she was on the inside of the bed. Like this.
All right, guys, welcome into the transparency. This is a break when Officer Smith to go upstairs to the third floor. The third floor is where he says that there's 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee's. I later learned from Officer Noonan's body camera that there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. Again, that's where I'm asking another question with detectives and FBI agents. 2 of the interviews included BF, but he said, I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife. It has an interview with Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack, on November 13th. Officer Smith then pointed out the small bathroom on the east side of the third floor, and that was a bathroom that was shared by Maddie and Kaylee.
Why wouldn't Murphy be in the same room as Maddie and Kaylee if they were going to sleep in that bedroom? Like, why would Murphy be in a bedroom? I would just think that Murphy would be in the same bedroom, unless that was normal for Murphy to sleep somewhere else in
Officer Payne entered the next bedroom. He could see, again, doesn't say if the door is open or closed.
Right there. So Kaylee was up against the wall here on the inside, and Maddie's up on the outside. And so when the killer came in, obviously it's dark, but walked around and went to go I'm guessing stand over, and then not realizing that Kaylee was in there and popped up. And then so what they mean by that she was trapped is if this bed would have been let's say in the middle of the room, you could have rolled off the bed and been able to go out that side and be able to run. She was trapped. That's what they're saying as far as stuck, as far as trapped. She was on the inside. I think that she was stabbed while she was standing up. He said that she was assaulted, meaning punched, hit, struck. Someone's trying to get away, you know what I mean? You're in the act of stabbing somebody and there's another person that you weren't expecting. I would just expect that this would be you'd be screaming. You'd have been screaming. So I don't understand how you could seriously tell me that Ethan and Xana, and Dylan wouldn't become running out of their I mean, when you hear a scream like that, I don't know. Especially if it was a surprise, especially if the killer didn't know that Kaylee was in there. And that, you know, I think that could then lead to, you know, people then coming out of their rooms. And then what are the odds that Dylan would open her bedroom 3 different times, kind of peek out, and just get so lucky as to never run into Brian Colberger or the killer, whoever it is? You know, go play the lottery, because that's some really good luck. But yet Ethan and Xana, you know, if they were to actually come out of the room and to run into him, it would have been one of those situations that you would have been running from him and you tried to run into your room, because he would have no reason to go over to Xana's side when he would have come down the stairs if he wasn't just intending on killing, you know, Maddie. So if you truly think about that, you would have, okay, holy shit, I wasn't expecting that there was Kaylee in there. But then when you would have left, why didn't he just go straight out the door, out the kitchen, you know, and leave? You know, why would you go, unless you got, turned around and you went the wrong way and you didn't realize what the kitchen was? Like, I think this house is a revolving door. You have no idea who's going to be in there at any given time. And I think it's interesting that everybody thinks that the killer drove there and drove away. Why would you do that? This is like a college town. People are just walking all the time. So you kind of fit in when you walk and you're walking around. Like, there'd be no reason for someone to think that you're, because you're walking, that you'd be out of place. A car speeding away to be seen on a bunch of cameras with a bunch of license plates. It doesn't seem smart to me. And you can't sit here and tell me that I think that a grad student who's studying all of these things and is so smart and all this stuff, allegedly people say, that you would say to yourself, yeah, let me take my own fucking car to a murder scene. I don't think that that's, I mean, if you're going to go rob a bank, you'd be like, yeah, let me go use my car. I don't know. I struggle with that, and I think that the evidence shows that he didn't use his car. If you think that it is Brian Colberger, he didn't use his car because there's no fucking blood in the car. So, then if it was planned and he had a kill kit, it's another reason I don't think it would be his, you know, his car. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to try to keep it as polite as I can, but I wanted to look at what 4chan wrote again. Only because you just can't sit here and tell me that this is just, I think that maybe whoever wrote it could have been like, yeah, I was interviewed, so I know what they were looking for. You know, I think that Jack D helped the Gonzalez's out by, you know, hey, what were they asking you? What do they want to know? We can figure out some stuff if you can tell us what type of questions they were asking. We can know what they wanted to know. Because I don't even want to say these words. Schizoid, frat, C word. I believe that's like David's did this. And then whatever one has the last name with an L. Mad skills with lacrosse and knife and wrestling. E posed no challenge. They already gave their alibis. And then I thought about what JLR, when he was there, that Sigma Chi was just lined with cars. You know, ISP. The sheriff, like, they already gave it out. DNA not in CODIS. That's true. DNA not in CODIS, right? They laughing now. Bro. This is on 12/12/2022. 12/12. Bro, you can see the King Road house from David's room. Once that third floor light turned off, they did it. 19 minutes total, walk included. Talked about this shit at Bishop Kelly in this Mackay house or something. The guy with the last name with an L and E got into a fight that night. Xana allegedly talking shit. L had probs with Mads also. This shit been brewing since fall rush last year. C words went quiet on social media for 2 weeks before and after the deed. Someone's mom's a paralegal, so she knows not to say shit. L cleared his social media. Then this person says, had to take a shit. Who needs to say that? So Mackay 2022 saw EXL and B at the party. L and E have issues back to E rushing. E talked shit about that David kid with the L's last name taking voids and having his balls shrivel. I mean, he's a second year fresher. I'm not even going to say that next thing. That's ridiculous. They talked about leaving their cell phones behind and putting on like a YouTube or autoplay. No pinging. No pings. No pings. Do you guys understand there was no pings? Like this person, their phone, again, nothing from 3 to 5. Too loud, no guns. Area dead early Sunday mornings. Somebody even calls out shit media. Media saying Kaylee was target. That shit is false. She had bad luck. Targets were EX and Mads. Mads talked shit about that David with the L. Never acknowledged this other person. Mads right about that one. He is a C word. They should have also taken out, and I want to say it's one of the other survivors. They're talking about fraternity stuff. So-and-so got a bid because our house GPA sucked and the NC was on our asses. Dirty South and E could not be more opposite. Mads did talk shit. Dirty also pissed with Rogaine, which is Mads' boyfriend. He had to charge, no plug. Mads also target. Kaylee not a target at all. Bad luck. Well-known fact. High probability. Some brothers are aware. Rogaine has ample opportunities and will play grieving boyfriend. B actually talked about this shit in detail in the past. Wear electrician gloves, put on baggy clothes after the walk away. And by the way, so-and-so's dad works for a professional cleaning company. That shit was disposed of in Garden City over the Thanksgiving holiday. This is just crazy. With all these people awake, people have their cell phones right on them. I can't believe that nobody could get to like use their phone to call for help. Especially if Ethan's body was blocking the door on the second floor to be able to go in. Doesn't make any sense either. The only way that you wouldn't see the blood is if you couldn't get into that room, but yet you could just move it like a little bit. Again, none of this makes sense, but after I saw the way that ISP operates, they have no problem lying in affidavits. So they have no problem lying in PCAs. So, my last thing I'll show here is gonna share this. Right here, again, this is the motion for the protective order. This is why the state wants to protect this, but listen to what they're saying happened. Law enforcement found the DNA of a potential suspect at the crime scene, and the FBI submitted the DNA to one or more publicly available genetic genealogy services to determine potential relatives of the suspect. The FBI then used common genealogical techniques to develop a family tree leading to defendant. The state seeks to protect from disclosure the names and personal information of hundreds of innocent relatives of the family tree. Why wouldn't you do this for the same other unknown DNA? Law enforcement found a K-bar knife sheath on bed next to the bodies of Maddie, of Madison and Kaylee. The sheath was face down and partially under both Maddie's body and the comforter on the bed. Law enforcement seized the K-bar knife sheath pursuant to a search warrant. The Idaho State Police Lab located DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. The ISP laboratory determined the DNA came from a single source and that the source was male. Once law enforcement had single source DNA from the K-bar knife sheath, they conducted what is called a short tandem, the STR. Now let me ask you guys this. If something like this exists, so think about this. If you're like the lead detective on this case and you're going around, you're collecting all this evidence and you come across, oh my God, this person left the sheath. It came off, it fell off. Or, or however, but it's there. This would be like your golden nugget, like this would be like your jam, right? So you would think that, yeah, let's run this and let's see what we have. After hearing all these experts, how long do you think that would take to do all of this that they wanted to do? Because to me, it's all about time. You could do all of this and get to Brian Culver, but to me, it's always been how did you get to Brian Culver and how were you able to do this in 3 weeks? how much DNA was there that you could do all the things that this is saying that they did? Law enforcement submitted the STR, DNA profile obtained from the K-bar knife sheet, to the combined DNA index system CODIS. So you have to take so much of that. DNA, and it came back, it was negative. No match was found. Unable to find a match using STR DNA analysis, law enforcement decided to use investigative genetic genealogy to find a lead. What Ann Taylor said is, she's like, well, you guys are doing all this other stuff, like watching all the surveillance, but didn't start the surveillance until 11/18. This is also happening. And but what came first? When did Brian's name come out? What's up, Latina? Dr. Latina. Love seeing her name pop up. I just don't buy it. So, this would take time, and then I would buy it. This would take time. Touch DNA or transfer DNA is just what it says. It's transferred by touch. If the DNA was left by the owner of the DNA, it would be just DNA. What would make you not test the other two unknown male DNAs in the house? We can't produce what we don't have. Let me ask you guys another question before you head to bed. Here you go. When you have the best, or one of the best labs, and you have a huge grant, we announced we're securing a grant to fund genetic genealogy testing and searching of unsolved cases. Why the hell would that not stay at the Idaho State Police Lab? Why would that not stay at the lab? This just doesn't make any sense. Like, I just think it doesn't make any sense. And they tell us right here, this same process, used frequently by members of the public, can also be used by law enforcement as part of their investigation. Once a publicly available genetic genealogy service shows law enforcement potential relatives of the suspect, law enforcement applies traditional investigative and genealogical methods to build a family tree in an effort to follow the tree to the suspect or a close relative of the suspect. So I guess I'll just say it one more time. Why didn't they just use the search warrant that they were able to obtain without any DNA to get just Brian Kohlberger's DNA from his apartment? Why didn't they just do that? Can anybody answer that? Why? And then he's going to come back, as Blaker said, he had was going to be teaching school again, and he's traveling back. So then you just get him, you keep your eye on him. You don't fuck with like we got to deal with all these jurisdictions. But why wouldn't you just go in his apartment and get whatever the hell you wanted? They didn't use the DNA that they mysteriously flew back and tested, and they didn't use any of that to get the search warrant to get into his apartment. So why not just get his own DNA from his apartment, from his office? Go into his office. Good morning from Scotland. Great work as always, Anna. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I would just have so many questions if I was on the jury as to why there's no blood in this car. And I know people are going to say, oh, he cleaned it. He cleaned it. Well, I've had Scott Roeder on here multiple times, and he said, cleaned it? No. There'd be traces of them cleaning the crime scene. There was no traces of anything, not a cleanup job, not blood. And all I've heard from all these, like the Jennifer Coffendoffers of the world, is that was supposed to be a treasure trove. That was like a second crime scene. And there's nothing in there. Does that not bother people? Does that not bother anybody with common sense? I can't, that's something I just can't get past. And see, now they're married to that though, because that's the whole story, is that car and is that time frame. They're married to that. So again, guys, you guys rock here. No blood, no connection. It's unbelievable. Of course it makes no common sense. It's all BS, right? For those of you guys, why I'm so adamant about this is because of the case that I'm doing with the ISP with Gary Tolson and Mike Van Leeuwen, and seeing them write up this. I'm going to read this to you, okay? And I want you to understand now where my frustration lies. In this whole probable cause affidavit, these cops never talk about what time a 911 call happened. This is how they decide how a 911 call happened. This is how ISP operates. Dr. Drake's wife, Jennifer, called him at 6:42 p.m. from their home in Hayden. It was a routine for Dr. Drake and his wife to have telephone conversations. On the nights that he stayed in Bonners Ferry, he advised her he was seeing late patients who were still there and would call her when he was finished. These patients were later identified. Great, awesome. The call lasted 13 seconds when she was like, okay, I'm with my patients, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Drake then called his wife back at 7:17. Okay. Mrs. Drake was at their shared residence in Hayden at the time of this call. Was she? After discussing routine family things, Mrs. Drake said her husband exclaimed that something had struck him in the side. He said he thought someone had shot him through the window. He then stopped responding to Mrs. Drake. Mrs. Drake hung up to call 911 after a short period of time. Mrs. Drake estimated the time from Dr. Drake no longer responding until when she hung up was approximately 15 seconds. Based on the timestamp from the phones and Mrs. Drake's estimation of time of when he stopped responding, puts the time of the shooting at approximately 7:26 p.m. What in the fuck are you talking about? Mrs. Drake dialed 911 to report what she had heard. This dispatch center in Coeur d'Alene patched her call first up to the Bonner County Dispatch Center, and they patched it up to the Bonner County Sheriff's Dispatch Center. Can somebody, for the love of God, explain to me why you wouldn't just say what time Mrs. Drake called 911? He uses the words, Mrs. Drake hung up to call 911 after a short period of time, right? He uses the words, oh, we compared these two fucking fuckerage. Just wild shit. Now, again, thank you guys for all the super stickers, all the super chats. Whoop, whoop, love it. Oh, Seeking the Truth with Dave, welcome. Leanna, you're the best. Aw, thanks. Clara, thank you so much. Super fucking sweet. Thank you, love. That was awesome. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you. No, you guys rock. Thank you. You guys ready for this? Who in the hell would ever write this? You guys, I mean, why wouldn't you just take what time did you call 911, ma'am? Oh, I didn't call 911. What? Yeah, I didn't call 911. What? Who the fuck puts in an affidavit if someone tells you that they didn't call 911? Then I said, there is no way these ISP guys are just going to straight commit perjury in affidavits and take the stand. But so I was comparing the writing from the affidavit that, we all seen from Brian Koberger to this. And so I decided to do my own little investigation into this alleged 911 call. And I want to share with you guys what time that was. They had her phone records. They had her phone records. She didn't call the police. This is supposed to be at 7:30. She didn't call the police until 8:57 p.m. And then by the time all the patchings, the patch through, then a 911, dispatch out happened at 8:59. And I want to show you guys something. Like, I would just need this to be 101. You just look at someone's phone records and, okay, they didn't call 911. When somebody has to go through all of this to try to say what time somebody called 911, you got fucking problems. So let's compare that to the IDAHO4 case. What time did this crime happen? Well, we're not going to take any of the phones of the victims. We're going to take the phones of the survivors. And whatever they told us, and that's how we came up with this time of the crime. Interesting. Fucking amazing work. Well, I call flat out bullshit. And why? Because of this. Because of this right here. Let's see. So, where is it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Take a look at what I did. You can just hand over that $10,000, that reward money. You just hand that over. Here you go. Boundary Hospital. Back-to-back 3-second phone calls. Bonners Hospital, Kootenai Emergency, Bonners Police. That's either a burner or some type of weird patch through. Bonners Police. And then 911 Boundary County. And then what did I do? I compared it to $8.59, not $7.30. $8.59, and it actually started right here at 8:56, and all this shit. 8:32, 8:45, 8:46, 8:48, 8:51, 8:56. I caught her. How did I catch her? Because she wasn't expecting anybody to call 911. And Bonners Ferry to Hayden is 1 hour and 15 minutes. So if you leave at 7:15, you'd get home at 8:30. And this is why you can't talk about what time this person called. And at 8:59 and 38 seconds, 20:59:38, that's the same time that the police scanner cab note sent out another 911. She got on the phone and she acted like she had just gotten off the phone with him. Well, that would mean that she's full of straight shit. But she didn't know that somebody had heard the fake shot to like make it seem like somebody shot into the window. And this kid ends up calling 911 just to call because he thought it was weird that there was somebody walking around over there. So he just happens to call 911. He wasn't even going to call it in because he's like, I mean, he didn't see anybody get shot. He just heard shots. And she never planned for that. And so when she calls her 911 call, she makes it seem like it just happened. But guess what? ISP had that. ISP listened to that shit. ISP would have known all the times. She got $1 million life insurance policy. I'll take the $10,000 reward. We'll put it into the channel. And then they thought to themselves, well, instead of just burying this and nobody will get, we're not going to just, all right, maybe we'll let her get away with it. We'll ask her for half of the life insurance policy or something like that. But then they went ahead and they said to themselves, well, we're just going to go and we have to have somebody that did this. So we're going to go get somebody that did this. And then they just blame somebody else. I mean, what in the actual fuck is going on? They blame another chiropractor.
I am a detective sergeant.
This guy right here, poor guy.
Degree murder came up.
Another chiropractor. Can you fucking believe this shit? Knowing that none of this happened, knowing that he doesn't even know Brian Drake. He didn't even know that answer. And so when you want to talk about what's going on, that's why I'm wasting all my time. People want to say I'm wasting my time. No, I dug and dug and dug because I wanted to know everything about these officers that investigated this case because I thought it was whack. Well, I found what I was looking for. And now I know why Anne wanted all these records of training records. And well, here you go. Here's just straight up perjury. Here's just straight up burying evidence. Here's straight up like lying about what time somebody called the police, like making a probable cause fit your narrative. Well, you think that Payne wrote that himself? Payne's a 2-year, get the fuck out of here. Why would you even give that to him to do? Unbelievable. It just really upsets me. And then when you hear the guns officers talk, you feel their pain. And I'm just like, pump the brakes, please. Because, Kaylee followed true crime. And I could probably tell you that, trust me, if he's the guy, I want his ass just as bad as anybody else. But if he's not the guy, there's nothing worse than doing that to somebody. That's not justice. It's not justice at all. Sad. It's horrible. Payne is the fall guy. When he's a fucking idiot. Nobody's a fall guy, in my opinion. If you let yourself be a fall guy, go talk to somebody. Go, hey, the media's just waiting for you. Go whistle blow. Go blow it. I am here for it when it does. But if all this stuff doesn't bother you, if there's like, this case doesn't sit right. I don't ever talk, like, people want to, people are following like the manhunt case, okay? But I don't usually do cases and cover cases that if I see that it looks good, smells good, passes the smell test, everything like that. This case, it doesn't. And trust me, they could have got to Brian Koberger and it would have been awesome police work. But for it to happen in 3 weeks, no way. Because you didn't have anything. You can't just go arresting people. You can't just go get these type of warrants. These search warrants, they have historical fucking, get that. You know how hard it is to get that stuff? And if they're just passing them out in Idaho, it's just, And they were adamant that they wanted to talk to this person. Hey, we want to talk to that anybody that was, in that car. So did they ever do that? We're looking for a 2011, 2013. Now we're not. No, now it's a 2015. I'm sorry. I broke that all the way down. There's so much that's different between 2015 and 2011 and 12 and 13. Everything's different. And the only cars I saw circling around the whole fucking night was that hybrid. Yeah, the undercover police car that's just circling the whole way. And that's exactly what was being seen on that Linda Lane. And I don't think someone's stalking somebody in a 3-month period if you ping on a cell tower that they share on 12 different occasions. Shit, I wonder what people would think, like that people that post videos about me every single fucking day and they follow my every move on social media. Then you must really think I got lots of stalkers. But I think Steve's calling them out in his way. That's what I see. And I'm with it. Go get yourself some, Steve. That's your fucking baby girl. Do it. He said he wanted truth and transparency in that courtroom. You got it. You got it. But he wants cameras in the courtroom. Judge comparing a 1995 case to a 2023 case. Cameras, blaming people for Manny, you and your mods are fabulous. Oh, thanks. We let anything fly around here. Just be kind to one another. Did we all learn that you call 911 when you have people dead in your house? I just think that's going to be hard to get around to. You just didn't call 911 not the one time, but then and I don't believe that you would summon people over before you would just ask your roommates upstairs to help you. That just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I would too if it was my daughter. So sad all the way around. Yeah, it totally is, Norma. Agree. Miss Nine, what's up, girl? Hot ham, baby. Change the picture, please.
Or if it was open or closed.
That's the bedroom, though. And that's what they're talking about as far as being trapped. Put ISP under. Alan, I say it's sad for way more reasons than you could ever imagine. Any of these people having jobs is sad for this type of shit. Yeah, but go take a look at your private driver. I would take another look at him. Could be nothing. Could be something. All right, guys. Take care until next time. Out.
Here, I'd like to get this hearing in today. Everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts. Okay. I know there's a history here.